Coach Wheeler, can you give us a few tips of how to manage anger outbursts?
How to manage anger outbursts?
Yes.
Right. Well, I think when you try and think about your anger, there's obviously something that sparks a feeling. A thought can happen, or a feeling can generate that feeling of anger, and then you go to a default setting in your brain. You know, our mind has patterns and things that we do, and that'll be linked to our value system and our human needs psychology. So really, it's probably what I would best suggest is that you set up a thing called if and when planning. Now what you do, it's the same as if you're on a diet. If you're on a diet and you go to a party and there's no fruit there, there's no salads, there's no healthy stuff, what do you do then? They call it if-then planning, because if in that situation and when that happens, what do? You have a plan. And it's the same for your anger. So you reverse it back and you say, if I get angry, if and when that happens, what am I going to do? What choices am I going to make? And am I going to decide to let that anger fuel me and control that situation and make me feel worse and have an argument with my wife, my sister, at work, at school, whatever, and destroy really that feeling? Because now while you're calm and I'm telling you this information, you know you don't want to be angry. You know your anger is out of control. So whatever sparks that anger, you have to try and recognize when it might happen and have a plan for when it does happen. And to help you with that plan, because you might think, well, what do I plan? What do I do? I don't know what to do. The reason I'm asking you I'm angry is because I need you to help me. So this is where I'm going to help you. Inside that plan, that moment when it comes, what you need to do is understand your values and your human needs. What's really important to you. And you have to sit down and look at those values and say, okay, principle, respect, trust, honor, morals, significance, maybe those things have been affected and that's made you angry. But you have to decide for yourself whether your anger is going to be the controlling factor or those values. Do you want your values to be in charge, or do you want your anger to be in charge? I'm guessing because you want help with your anger, you don't want your anger to be in charge. And it's a decision. It's the same with deciding to be happy. You can decide to be miserable, you can decide to be depressed. You may not decide to be angry because something will trigger your anger, but when that happens, you decide to breathe and say, I'm not going to let this affect me. I'm just not. I'm not going to let it happen to me anymore. You decide. It's about you, your control. Does your anger have control over you, or do you have control over your anger? That's why they call it anger management. And inside of that anger management, you need a plan. You need to understand your values, your human needs, and what you want the outcome to be, what you want to decide. If you want to carry on being destructive and letting your anger take control and not analyzing your values and your human needs and not having an if-when plan or an if-then plan, then you'll be subject to that anger taking control and it will destroy you. It's going to take hard work. You've got to put together a plan. You've got to be disciplined, but you've got to use that energy, that fear of the anger, to control your decision to do the right thing in that moment. That is how I would suggest one plan of how you deal with your anger and your anger outburst, because it's not easy. We all feel angry. I have times when I get angry and I have to really decide to myself, am I going to let anger take control and destroy this situation, or am I going to be wise and intelligent, look at my values, look at my human needs, and do my if-then planning? Because if that happens, what do I do then? They call it if-then planning. What do I do then? If that happens, what do I do then? Or what do I do when that happens? You decide. It's Coach Wheeler.
Thank you so much.